Emergency override just failed, and every cub on the station is stampeding toward the human again. Zilax's barked report hit the command deck harder than a plasma detonation. Officers scattered, alarms shrieked, and the station AI sputtered something about unprecedented bio-behavioral convergence, which was code for, "We have absolutely no idea what is happening, and everyone should panic immediately." According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free. Again, Emma Johnson called over the comms, her voice maddeningly calm. "Guys, I'm literally sitting in the daycare room grading spelling tests. How are toddlers causing a station-wide emergency?" That line alone violated 17 interstellar laws of crisis response. Not that Emma cared. She taught third graders back on Earth. Her emotional tolerance for chaos was basically superhuman by alien standards. Azila, the xenobiologist, nearly tripped over her own tail feathers, rushing into the command center. "Commander Zilax, the alien cubs, all of them, have left their habitats and are converging on the human child care room." "That is impossible," Zilax snapped. "Our species cannot coordinate behavior across hatching lines without pheromone commanders present." "Well," Azila squeaked, "apparently they don't need pheromone commanders when a human elementary school teacher exists." A junior officer screamed as the holoscreen lit up with station tracking. Every alien fledgling, every human child, all moving, all in perfect synchronization, heading toward one room. Zilax stared. No, this cannot be happening. This violates the Treaty of Juvenile Sanctity." The AI's calm monotone made it worse. "Warning. Spontaneous cross-species cub convergence detected. Probability of diplomatic catastrophe, 97.3%. Emma exhaled loudly into her comm. "Can someone explain why a bunch of toddlers walking towards snack time counts as diplomatic catastrophe?" "Because it is," Zilax roared. Azila flapped her crest spines frantically. "Human Emma, you do not understand. Mixed-species cub behavior synchronization is considered a prelude to either spiritual bonding or universal war. Entire empires have collapsed because someone misinterpreted a baby's sneeze." "That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem," Emma said. Zilax broke into a run, boots pounding the corridor as alarms flashed red. "We must reach the child care room before the cubs arrive. Evacuation protocols are already failing." Azila sprinted after him. "Commander, wait!" "There's more." "What?" Zilax snapped. "The cubs are glowing." Zilax nearly tripped. "Glowing! Why did you not lead with that?" The screens confirmed it. Each tiny alien flutterling and human toddler emitted a faint, shimmering aura. Energy resonance. Biofield alignment. Mythic nonsense. Zilax's species did not believe in myth. Yet here it was, sprinting down the hallway on chubby legs. By the time they reached the child care room, the situation was worse. Much worse. Because Emma Johnson, human teacher, amateur problem solver, professional chaos tamer, was sitting on the floor surrounded by dozens of cubs from species that historically couldn't tolerate each other for more than 30 seconds. Human children leaned against alien fledglings like they were siblings. Alien cubs purred, chirped, hummed, or glowed contentedly in a ring around Emma. And Emma, she was reading a storybook. "And that's why the little space dragon learned to share," she narrated. Every cub sighed dreamily at the same time. Zilax froze mid-stride. Azila's crest drooped. The station AI rebooted itself out of sheer confusion. "Emma," Zilax whispered, "what have you done?" Emma blinked. Circle time?" "This is not circle time," Zilax thundered. "This is a full biopsychic resonance event. You have created a precursory unity field." Emma tilted her head. "Is that bad?" Azila stepped forward, scanning wildly. "Commander, look at their energy signatures. They're harmonizing. Their neural waves are matching the human's heartbeat." What? Emma exclaimed. Hold on, my heartbeat. That can't be right. I've had 3 coffees today. Azila's scanner beeped rapidly. It is correct. The cubs are adjusting to your emotional rhythm. Her voice cracked with awe. Human Emma, you're functioning as an anchor. Emma paused. Like a teacher? Zilak slapped a hand to his forehead. She truly does not comprehend the magnitude of this. The walls hummed. The glow intensified. Cubs of every shape leaned closer to Emma like planets orbiting a sun. The station AI broke the silence. Warning. Interspecies cub synchronization at 42%. At 60%, treaty violation becomes irreversible. At 90%, a new cultural-spiritual dependency structure will form. Emma frowned. That sounds kinda dramatic for nap time. Nap time? Nap time? Zilax was losing the last threads of sanity. Human Emma, if this field reaches full resonance, every species in this sector may interpret this as a sign of destiny, or domination, or a cosmic merging of souls. One of the alien cubs, Relia, crawled into Emma's lap, chirped, and glowed brighter. The station vibrated. Azila squeaked, "Commander, they're binding to her emotionally." Emma raised a finger. "Okay. Hold on. No one is binding to me emotionally. These are kids. Kids pile on whoever gives snacks and stories. This is normal." A dozen alien officers gasped. "Normal," Zylax sputtered. "How is this normal?" Emma shrugged. "Because kids are basically little chaos gremlins that follow anyone who acts like they'll survive interacting with them." Azila whispered to Zilax, "Humans truly are terrifying." Before Zilax could respond, the AI announced, "Resonance increase detected. 54%, 55%, 56%. "Stop rising," Zilax shouted at the ceiling. Emma sighed and clapped her hands once. "All right, everybody. Snack time is over. Sit in a calm circle, hands to yourselves." Every cub obeyed instantly. The resonance froze at 57%. Zilax nearly fainted. "She can command them." Azila whispered, "She is the one." Emma blinked. "The what?" The AI whispered, "Human Emma Johnson has become the emotional gravity center of all cubs aboard the station." Emma stared at the toddlers around her. "Cool," she said, "but also, oh no." The cubs cooed in unison, and the station trembled again. The room pulsed with soft, synchronized glimmers from dozens of alien and human cubs. Zilax's mandibles twitched so violently Azila considered calling medical. Emma, meanwhile, tied her hair into a messy bun and said, "Okay, who spilled juice on the learning mat? Be honest." Every cub raised a hand, paw, tentacle, or appendage. A perfect synchronization event. Again. Azila nearly died of excitement. "Commander, they're mirroring her moral development cues. This is unprecedented. This breaks 12 scientific doctrines." "It breaks the laws of the universe," Zilax thundered. "Stop being calm, human," Emma sighed. "Buddy, I grade math tests written in crayon. Everything about this is calm in comparison." The station AI flickered. "Warning! Resonance increasing! 58%, 59%. All the cubs scooted closer. Emma clapped sharply. "Freeze!" They froze instantly. Azila whispered, "She controls multi-species toddlers with sound commands." Zilax pointed an accusing finger. "Human Emma Johnson, cease whatever psychic domination technique you are using." Emma blinked. "What psychic technique? That's literally just being a teacher." A moment of stunned silence. Then every alien in the room began yelling at once. Azila, "Impossible! No one can command that many juveniles with voice alone." Zilax, "Teachers are not allowed to wield psychic weaponry." AI, "Resonance at 60%, diplomatic collapse imminent." Emma groaned. "Okay, clearly none of you have ever been in a human elementary school classroom during indoor recess. This?" She gestured at the glowing children. "This is adorable." The station shook as if offended. The escalation begins. "Commander!" A junior officer sprinted in, panting. "We have a situation." Zilax threw up his hands. "Of course we do. What now? Did the Cubs form a monarchy? Elect the human as queen? Rewrite physics?" The officer swallowed. "They've, hijacked the holo screens." Azila blinked. "To display what?" The officer whimpered. "Finger paintings." Emma squinted. "Oh, hey, I've been looking for those." The screens across the station, medical, tactical, engineering, were plastered with cheerful, abstract swirls of color, uneven lines and happy suns. Zilax stared at a screen showing a smiling stick figure version of himself, holding hands with Emma. "This is a threat," he whispered. Emma snorted. "It's a drawing." "Humans create art depicting alliances when they intend conquest," Zilax barked. Emma blinked. "No. This one's just saying you're tall." Azila was scanning frantically again. "Commander, the artwork is emitting more resonance. It's amplifying their bond." Zilax staggered. "This is how it starts. This is exactly how the Vroxian nursery war began." Emma set her grading tablet down. "Let me guess, the toddlers made friends?" Zilax pointed at her. "Do not trivialize one of the darkest chapters of our history." "Commander," Azila said, shaking, "we must notify High Command." High Command calls. The holoscreen flickered and displayed an elderly alien with shimmering horns. "Zilax," the elder said gravely, "your emergency ping was unreadable. It contained only scribbles." Emma coughed. Yeah, sorry. The kids might have hit the controls." The elder's expression froze. "The Cubs touched the, communications array?" Azila nodded. "They may have also accessed the diplomatic channels." The elder's horns dimmed with horror. "Are you saying the children sent artwork to the Galactic Council?" Emma winced. "In their defense, they worked really hard on it." Zilax grabbed his head. "This is the end. This is how wars start." Azila checked her scanner again. "Commander, there's something else." "What now?" he croaked. "The human child Mia Johnson just bonded with Rylia." Zilax froze. "Bonded? Bonded? Do you mean—" "Yes," Azila whispered. "They are holding hands." Emma blinked. "They're friends." Azila looked like she might faint. "Commander, our cultures interpret juvenile hand-holding as a declaration of lifelong alliance." Emma rubbed her temples. "Wow, overdramatic much?" "Human," Zilax shrieked. "You do not understand what this means. If one alien cub forms a bond with one human cub, their entire clans become linked by ancient treaty protocol. We are looking at a sector-wide political reconfiguration." Emma looked down at the children. "They're literally sharing a plush toy." Rylia chirped and hugged Mia. A wave of energy pulsed outward from the two children. The air shimmered. Azila shrieked, "Resonance spike!" The AI wailed, "Attention! Resonance at 68%, 70%, 72%, event horizon approaching." "Stop horizoning!" Zilax yelled at the ceiling. Emma clapped again. "Okay, kids, new game. Everyone sit on your own mat." They obeyed. Instantly, resonance dropped to 65%. Zilax dropped to his knees. She commands the convergence field directly," Azila gasped. "She is the anchor of harmony." "Stop calling me things," Emma said, pinching the bridge of her nose. The elder on screen whispered, "Human Emma, teach us your ways." Emma snorted. "Buddy, I'm a public school teacher. I'm paid in stress and leftover cafeteria breadsticks. There is no secret." The cubs giggled. The station trembled. Azila held up her scanner again, eyes wide. "Commander, I think the cubs are starting another resonance chain." "What now?" Zilax begged. "They're drawing more pictures." The holoscreens flickered again. Now they showed a new image, Emma standing between alien and human children, holding their hands. Zilax screamed. Azila fainted. Emma sighed. "All right, that's it. Everyone stop glowing. Crayons down. No forming psychic unions without permission." All cubs immediately complied. The resonance steadied at 68%, barely stable, barely safe. Emmer exhaled. Okay, someone get me water. This is going to be a long day. 1. The next morning, chaos. Dr. Alera's briefing room looked like someone had shaken an anthill. Alien diplomats, security chiefs, xenobiologists, and at least 3 ambassadors all talked at once. Screens replayed footage of last night's incident. Human and alien cubs forming a peaceful pile of miniature limbs, tails, and giggles. The galaxy had seen war footage, diplomatic standoffs, and planetary disasters. But never this. Silence, Ambassador Zorvac barked, his voice cracking with more emotion than he intended. Everyone froze. He pointed at the projection of the cubs cuddling. Explain this. 2. Humans try to explain the obvious. Juno raised a hand awkwardly. Kids like each other? Alera snapped. No species has ever had cross-infant bonding. It is biologically impossible. Cubs should treat other species' cubs as threats. Juno blinked. Human kids don't. Humans imprint socially. They're hyper-empathic at small size. Zorvac stared. That is horrific. Juno shrugged. That is preschool. Alera hissed through her teeth. Human cubs respond to any cub in distress? Yes, it's like emotional magnets. 3. The science panel breaks down. The room erupted. One scientist shouted, "But that means humans evolved cooperative instincts even with rival tribes." Another, "Impossible! Early humans were aggressive." Juno rubbed his temples. Yeah, but they were also cooperative. Human evolution is a contradiction wearing skin. Zorvac boomed, "Explain contradiction." So Juno did. Human survival came from a weird balance of aggression and caretaking. Humans fought predators and storms and each other, yet still somehow raised wildly empathetic babies who would hug anything that smiled. A Growth general sputtered, "That is militarily unstable." Juno grinned. "Correct." Alera whispered, "That means human young carry soft power influence. Naturally." Zorvac staggered back like he'd been shot. "Human cubs are diplomatic weapons?" 4. Alien panic, but professional. This triggered the second explosion of chaos. They can destabilize interspecies hostilities. They bypass xenophobic instincts. They produce instinctive trust. Zorvac slammed the table. This is a worse weapon than their gravity tricks, worse than their starships, worse than their fists. Humans possess a biological diplomacy field. Juno raised his hand again. It's not a weapon. Kids just like other kids. Alera turned her hollow tablet toward him with a trembling claw. And look what that has caused. 5. The footage that broke the council. The screen displayed live feeds from 3 stations. Station 14, the alien cub that had been isolated for chronic aggression, was now snoring peacefully with a human toddler curled on his chest. Station 7, 3 reptilian cubs were letting a human girl draw patterns on their scales. Their parents looked emotionally destroyed in the corner. Station 3, human infants were sharing toys with Ursid younglings, who were roaring happily while playing pretend war. Alera whispered, "We have studied diplomacy for millennia. We have built academies, weapons, treaties, psychological conditioning, but never, not once, have we calmed hostile bloodlines using toys." Juno smiled weakly. "Welcome to babysitting." 6. Reversal of an entire galaxy's theory. Zorvac sank into his chair. This overturns the doctrine of interspecies barriers. If cubs imprint on each other, adults' instincts will warp to protect all imprinted young. Several aliens gasped. That means the cubs created a multi-species microtribe overnight. That means parents will defend non-species cubs. That means the evolutionary wall is breached. Alera opened her research slate. We are witnessing the first recorded case of cross-species tribal identity. She looked up, eyes wide. It took 6 hours. Juno leaned in. And 1 plush toy. 7. The security crisis that wasn't a guard rushed in. "Ambassador, we have a situation." Zorvac jumped to his feet. Have the cubs started a riot? No, sir, worse. Everyone braced. The cubs have organized a nap union. Juno choked. A what? A hologram flickered on. Human and alien cubs had arranged pillows, blankets, and toys into a perfect geometric nest. They had set rules. Everyone naps at once, everyone shares blankets. Loud adults get shushed, snacks distributed post-nap. Alara stared. They negotiated this? The guard nodded. Flawlessly, without conflict. Jorvac collapsed back into his seat. By the nebula, their young have mastered the one thing our diplomats never achieved. Juno smirked. Fair negotiations? Alara croaked. Peace. 8. The fear that crept in. For the first time, fear entered the aliens' expressions. Not fear of humans, but fear of what this discovery meant for everything they believed. Jorvac whispered, "If cubs can form alliances beyond species, then adults will follow." Alara added, "That means the instinct to fight rivals may dissolve." Juno blinked. "That sounds great." Jorvac paced. "Great. Great. Human, you do not understand the scale. Our empires are built on controlled rivalries, on predictable boundaries, on the assumption that species remain separate." He jabbed a claw at the hollows. "But your cubs erased those boundaries overnight." Alara lowered her voice. "Do you know what happens when empires founded on division face a generation with no instinct for it?" Juno swallowed. "Revolution?" "Worse," Jorvac said. "Unity." 9. The inevitable meltdown. At that moment, a tiny alien cub toddled into the room. Blue fuzz, wide golden eyes, antennae bouncing. She spotted Juno, wobbled over, and raised her arms to be picked up. Everyone froze. Juno hesitated, then gently lifted her. She squeaked happily and patted his face. Jorvac stared like the laws of physics had just broken. Alara murmured, voice trembling, "It is true. Human cubs attract alien cubs, but alien cubs also attract humans. A two-way pull, a symmetrical empathy bond." Jorvac sat heavily. "This is not diplomacy." Juno rocked the cub carefully. "No," Jorvac whispered, "this is a new evolutionary pathway." Alara added, "This is the birth of cross-species kinship." The room fell silent as the alien cub snuggled into Juno's chest and promptly fell asleep. Jorvac looked at his advisors. "What do we call this phenomenon?" Alara answered without hesitation. "The cub convergence." And that was when the alarms went off again. 10. Cliffhanger, the alarm that shook the station. A synthetic voice boomed across the station. "Attention! All senior personnel, report to Habitat Wing C. The Cub Cluster has initiated Phase 2. Juno blinked. "Phase 2? What does that mean?" Alara's face drained of color. Jorvac whispered the words like a curse. "Phase 2 is when cubs begin actively recruiting adults." Juno blinked. "Recruiting? For what?" Alara answered, "A tribe." Jorvac added, "A tribe that includes humans and aliens and every species in between." A final alert blared. "Warning! Adult bonding behavior detected." Juno nearly dropped the cub. Oh no!" Alara turned to him. "Human, brace yourself." Jorvac's voice was grim. "The cubs are trying to unite the galaxy." 1. The tribal call. Habitat. Wing C looked like a peaceful apocalypse. Every corridor was filled with adults, humans, aliens, soldiers, engineers, diplomats, moving in the same direction without talking, without fighting, without hesitation, like they were being summoned. Juno whispered, "Are we sure they're not mind-controlling the adults?" Alara shook her head rapidly. "Cubs don't have psychic fields," Jorvac muttered. "Then explain that." They entered the habitat. All noise stopped. The cubs were waiting. 2. The circle of little emperors. In the center of the habitat, the cubs had formed a perfect circle, species mixed randomly. each one holding a toy, a pillow, a crayon, or a shiny object. They weren't playing, they were watching. 27 alien cubs, 6 human toddlers, all silent, all focused. Every adult in the room froze, as if standing before royalty. Juno swallowed. "Why does this feel like a cult meeting?" Alara whispered. "Because it might be," Jorvac corrected her. "No, this is worse." He pointed. "This is instinct." 3. What adults feel when cubs call Alara's claws trembled as she analyzed the scene. Adults across nearly all species have one universal instinct, protection of young, but cubs rarely synchronize behavior across species. This is a coordinated signal. Juno stared. "They're calling us." Alara nodded. "Every adult here just followed a multi-species parental call." "But humans aren't parents," Juno said. "We are not either," Jorvac added. Alara finished the thought quietly, "Yet all of us came." The cubs made a soft, rhythmic trilling sound. Not music, not language, a simple, emotional pulse. Every adult felt it in their bones. Jorvac dropped to one knee. "So it is true." 4. The revelation of the cub convergence. Alara typed furiously on her slate. "I'm mapping the emotional frequencies." Juno watched the cubs sway. "Is that a multi-species lullaby?" "No," Alara whispered. "A synchronizing signal, a convergence pulse." Jorvac elaborated, "An instinctive call to unity." Alara's voice grew firm. "Evolutionary divergence between species took millions of years, but cubs, mixed together, are reversing that divide." Juno blinked. "You mean?" Alara lifted her head. "Yes, cubs bond first. Adults follow." Juno's jaw dropped. "So the cubs started creating a multi-species tribe, and now it's expanding to adults?" Jorvac nodded, dread and awe mixing. "The tribe grows outward, like ripples." Juno laughed nervously. "This is insane." Alara shook her head. "No, this is biology. Pure, impossible biology." 5. The first adult reaction. A tall reptilian warrior stepped forward, tears streaking down his scaled cheeks. "My cub hugged a human child last night," Jorvac frowned. "And?" "I felt no fear, no anger." He placed a clawed hand on his chest. "I felt proud." A human marine stepped forward next. "I watched alien toddlers play with chalk. I didn't think enemy. I didn't think other. My brain just softened." Another alien adult, voice trembling. "When the cubs called, I came running. I didn't question it." Juno stepped closer to Alara. "Are you telling me the cubs are reshaping instinctive adult behavior?" Alara nodded solemnly. "Yes, they are dissolving xenophobia in real time." Jorvac raised a claw. "And that is the problem." 6. The fear of unity. The room's temperature seemed to drop. Jorvac's voice was low. Entire empires depend on controlled distrust, on predictable hostilities, on clear species divisions. Juno frowned. "Why? Unity is good." Jorvac slammed his staff down. "Human, you do not understand what unity costs in a galaxy built on rivalry. Our cultures, economies, militaries, even our borders exist because we expect division." Alara added, "If cubs unify the next generation, every political system we know collapses." Juno crossed his arms. "Maybe some systems need to collapse." Alara inhaled sharply. "You say that because humans adapt fast, but some species build their entire identity on separation." Jorvac growled. "If a generation grows up loyal to a multi-species tribe, the adults will tear down every boundary to protect that unity." Juno replied softly, "Sounds like peace." Jorvac stared at the cubs. "It is peace, yes," he paused, "but peace that dethrones every empire." Alara nodded. "And peace that rewrites evolution." Juno inhaled. "So the cubs aren't a threat?" Alara met his eyes. "No, they are a beginning." 7. The moment of proof. The cubs finally moved. One human toddler wobbled toward Zorvak, holding out a shiny asteroid pebble. Zorvak recoiled. I am not, this is, but the cub gently placed the pebble in his palm, and Zorvak froze, then shook, then sank to the floor, overwhelmed. Alara whispered, "The cub is offering you initiation, acceptance into the tribe." Zorvak looked shattered. "I am a battle-hardened diplomat of the Korvathi Dominion. I have negotiated treaty lines and commanded fleets." He choked. "But no cub has ever chosen me." Juno gently smiled. "Congratulations, you're part of the Nap Union now." 8. The first multi-species tribal oath. The cubs circled around Zorvak and began a soft hum. Alara gasped. "That's the convergence chant. They're inducting him." Juno grinned. "Buddy, you're being adopted." The adults watched in stunned silence as Zorvak, once a symbol of political hardness and species pride, bowed his head while toddlers tapped his forehead gently. The hum grew louder. Juno felt his chest tighten. Alara clutched her slate. "This is it." "What?" Juno whispered. "The proof." She pointed to the adults. "Look at them." Every adult, every species, stood perfectly still, watching with softened eyes and relaxed postures. Zorvak rose slowly. "I feel different." Alara nodded. "Yes," her voice shook. "You've undergone parent imprint shift. The cubs have recoded your emotional targeting." Zorvak looked horrified. "You mean I would defend all cubs now?" Alara bowed her head. "All cubs, all species, all in the tribe." Juno exhaled. "So that's the answer." Alara looked up. "Yes," Juno whispered the truth aloud. "Cubs attract aliens and humans both, because nature built them to unify what adults break." 9. The new horizon. The cubs' chant slowed. Alara's pulse raced. "This is spreading. Adult bonding wave, emotional synchronization, a convergence cascade." Zorvak whispered, "The galaxy is changing, because the smallest among us demanded it." Juno stepped forward, and because adults listened. The final hum faded. Silence. Then one human cub clapped. One alien cub echoed the clap. Then all cubs clapped, giggling. Alara stared. They triggered the bonding impulse intentionally. Zorvak whispered, "They are not children." Juno corrected softly, "They're leaders." 10. End of Part 4, The Request. The cubs turned toward the adults, eyes bright. One cub raised both arms, a universal gesture, a request. Alara translated breathlessly, "They want the adults to join them." Zorvak froze. "Join the tribe." Juno smiled. "Well, what are we waiting for?" 1. Enter the tribe. No one moved at first. Dozens of adults, warriors, diplomats, engineers, scholars, stood frozen as the cubs held their tiny hands out, inviting them into the center. Juno exhaled. "Well, if no one else is going, I will." He stepped forward. A human toddler trudged up to him and tapped his kneecap like she was knighting him with a sticky hand. Alara gasped softly. "That's the acceptance gesture." Juno smirked. "So I'm officially certified in toddler diplomacy?" Zorvak murmured. "Human, you jest, but this is the first multi-species initiation ritual in galactic history." Juno grinned. "Ah, so it is Tuesday." The cubs giggled at the human's voice tone and the sound rippled outward, softening every adult posture in a 10-meter radius. Alara nearly dropped her slate. "They're amplifying emotional resonance through laughter. This isn't accidental." Juno raised an eyebrow. "You're saying the kids know what they're doing?" Alara swallowed. "I'm saying they may have always known." 2. The Cascade. A Zarathi cub toddled up to a reptilian war captain. The captain, bigger than 3 humans stacked, shrank like a frightened trainee. The cub placed a crayon in his palm. The war captain let out a trembling squeak. Adults murmured, then fell silent again. One by one, the cubs approached the adults. No pattern, no hierarchy, no species preference. A soft hum began, uncoordinated at first, then aligned, perfectly. Alera's voice trembled. This is cross-species attunement. They're binding us. Binding to what? Juno asked. Jorvac answered quietly. To them. 3. Instinct rewritten. Alera pulled up readings. Look at this. This is unprecedented. Multiple species brainwaves synchronizing to the same nurture instinct frequency. Juno blinked. Meaning? Alera whispered. Meaning the adult's defensive instincts are redirecting. Jorvac inhaled. They would protect any cub now. Alera nodded. They already do. The room's energy shifted. Dozens of adults subtly moved to form an outer circle, a natural defensive perimeter around the cubs. No one commanded it, no one planned it. It simply happened. Alera whispered, We're witnessing instinct evolve while conscious. Juno nudged her. You sound like you're at a wedding. Alera shook, eyes wet. In a way, I am. 4. What the cubs want. The cubs stopped humming. All turned to Alera, every single one. Alera tensed. Why are they staring at me? Jorvac exhaled. You're their designated interpreter. They chose you. Alera blinked. But why? Juno shrugged. You have the teacher energy. She glared at him. Then the cubs raised their hands. All 27 alien cubs, all 6 human toddlers. The smallest one, a tiny Vexry cub, pointed at Alera's slate. Alera tapped her communicator. A single translated phrase appeared. She read it aloud. Teach us how to keep everyone together. Her breath caught. Jorvac whispered, The first interstellar doctrine request. Juno grinned. Congrats! You're now the curriculum director of Galactic Preschool. 5. The adults respond. The adults exchanged looks, fear, confusion, awe. Then Alera stepped forward. She kneeled, lowering herself to eye level with the cubs. Her voice shook. I will help you, but we must understand why you called us. The tiniest human toddler toddled forward. He pointed at himself, then at the alien children, then at the adults, then at the floor. Alera entered the gestures into her translator. The message was simple. We stay here, together, safe. Jorvac made a strangled sound. They want a shared home world. Juno blinked. That's doable. Alera whispered the terrifying truth. If the cubs request it, no planetary government would dare refuse. 6. The moment of galactic reckoning. Alera broadcast the cubs' message to the station's command net. Within 30 seconds, responses poured in. Human High Command. Confirm request source. If cub generated, full support. Korvathi Senate. If the cubs demand unity, the Dominion will allocate resources. Vexry all clusters. If the tribe requires a world, we will share our gardens. Thal Warbranch. We will not oppose the little ones. Alera almost fainted. Jorvac steadied her. Do you see now? Every species, every one, is bending to their will. Juno put his hands up. Whoa, hold up. Their will makes it sound like they're running a toddler empire. Jorvac turned slowly. Are they not? 7. The first law of the tribe. The cubs raised their hands again. Alera braced herself as the translators lit up. One sentence appeared, then another, then the final one. The adults fell silent. Alera whispered the translation. Way to 1. No hurting anyone small. 2. No fighting inside the circle. 3. Everyone gets a turn. Juno blinked. That's it? Those are the big universe-changing commandments? Alera's voice broke. Yes, Jorvac exhaled. It is perfect. Juno added, It's kindergarten morality. Alera whispered, It's universal morality. 8. The creation of the Nest World Initiative. Within minutes of the cubs' request, command channels went into unified overdrive. Blueprints appeared. Maps, habitat designs, atmospheric compatibility models. education modules, mixed species infrastructure plans. Every government submitted contributions. Alera whispered, "They're building a world for the children." Jorvac bowed his head respectfully. "A nest world," Juno muttered. "Better than the Death Star." Alera grinned despite herself. "Much." 9. The Adult Oath. The cubs looked up once more. The hum began, soft, warm, pulling every adult inward. Alera straightened. "They want us to speak." Jorvac stepped forward. His voice rumbled with command and awe. "We, the adults of the many worlds, swear to protect all cubs, human, alien, and any who may come until our last breath." Alera added, "We swear to keep the circle safe." Juno lifted a hand, "And to always give everyone a turn." The cubs squealed in delight. Oath accepted. 10. The New Normal. The adults dispersed around the cubs, forming a natural mixed-species play perimeter. Some played catch, some taught drawing. A dozen alien warriors sat cross-legged as a human toddler showed them how to stack blocks without knocking them over. Jorvac nodded approvingly. "So this is how peace begins," Alera smiled. "With crayons," Juno yawned. "Well, my shift's over. Anyone want coffee?" Alera blinked. "How can you think of coffee right now?" Juno shrugged. "You think toddlers take breaks?" 11. The Future of the Galaxy. Alera stepped aside and recorded the moment. Jorvac spoke softly beside her. "Do you understand what we've witnessed?" Alera nodded. "Yes," her voice steadied. "The beginning of a tribe that spans galaxies." Jorvac added, "A tribe that will outgrow borders." Juno walked past holding 2 toddlers like grocery bags. "Yo, Alera, which one of these little goobers belongs to the Vexry dad who fainted earlier?" Alera covered her face. "Juno, you cannot carry cubs like that." "Sure I can. They're light." 12. The Final Truth. As the cubs played, a single line appeared on Alera's slate, translated from their gestures, laughter, and humming. She read it silently, then out loud. "Cubs attract aliens and humans because we're supposed to grow up together." Juno froze. Jorvac bowed his head. Alera felt her heart lift. "That's it," she whispered. "That's the answer." Alera closed the slate and looked at her tiny, impossible galaxy-shaping students. Then she smiled. "Well then." She stepped toward them. "Let's begin."